Top stories tonight in Y News. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. reiterates the strong partnership of Japan and the Philippines since the establishment of its diplomatic relations in 1956 during the National Day of Japan and the celebration of the birthday of Japanese Emperor Naruhito.
The Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines says they still need to find out a lot of details surrounding the incident before they can determine the exact cause of the Cessna plane's crash in Albay.
Senate Deputy Minority Leader Risa Ontiveros hopes those who are behind the decision to import sugar ahead of the recent sugar order should be ready to face serious criminal and administrative charges.
And the James Webb Telescope reveals the discovery of multiple galaxies, which the Space Observatory believed to have existed for around 500 to 700 million years.
Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Thursday, the 23rd of February, 2023. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. I am William Theo.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media channels. I am Harley Delgado.
First in the news, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. attended the National Day of Japan and the celebration of the birthday of Japanese Emperor Naruhito. PBBM reiterated the strong partnership of Japan and the Philippines since the establishment of its diplomatic relations in 1956. Nel Maribuhok reports.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. called Japan a friend and a strategic partner as he promised to sustain the positive trajectory of the Philippines' relationship with its Asian neighbor. In his speech during the celebration of the birthday of Japanese Emperor Naruhito, the president emphasized the strong partnership of the Philippines and Japan.
Japan has been a friend, a neighbor, a strategic partner. Japan has been one of our steadfast partners in the efforts to realize the Philippines' transformative agenda in infrastructure, in social inclusion, in defense, to name.
PBBM and the Japanese Emperor have met during President Marcos' recent working visit. During his meeting with Emperor Naruhito and Empress Masako, President Marcos Jr. conveyed the affection and admiration of the Filipino people, including some 300,000 Filipinos who consider Japan their second home. Based on data from the Department of Trade and Industry, Japan is the third country with highest approved investment projects in the country with 524 million pesos. President Marcos Jr. recently sealed $13 billion worth of agreements during his 5-day working visit in Japan. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
18 delegates of the European Parliament Subcommittee on Human Rights visited former Senator Laila de Lima inside the PNP Custodial Center in Camp Crame. The EU delegates entered the facility at about 12:30 in the afternoon. The PNP Headquarters Support Service said the visitors underwent briefing and screening. They also followed the minimum health protocols to ensure the safety of the former senator. The EU delegates left the custodial center at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Meanwhile, authorities seized a total of 11 containers of smuggled sugar in a series of inspections this month at the Manila International Container Port that is worth 27.3 million pesos. The operations were conducted by the Department of Agriculture, Bureau of Customs, Philippine Coast Guard, and Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency on January 6 and 15 and 16. ASEC James Layug of DA Inspectorate and Enforcement Office said that they will file a case against the consignee for misdeclaration and misqualification of the shipment in violation of the Food Safety Act and Anti-Agricultural Smuggling Act. There are still 6 containers that will undergo physical inspection, while 17 containers were placed under alert status.
In a bid to respond to complaints, the Movie and Television Review and Classification Board, or MTRCB, wants to include online streaming platforms in its mandate. But one lawmaker believes the board should take a closer look at monitoring social media platforms where inappropriate contents are everywhere. This report will tell us why.
The Movie and Television Review and Classification Board, or MTRCB, seeks to expand its jurisdiction in reviewing content. The Senate Committee on Public Information and Mass Media tackled today a measure seeking to include in MTRCB's mandate the authority to regulate online streaming platforms to keep up with the changing times. MTRCB Chairperson Lala Soto Antonio says that for now, they only have agreements with subscription videos on demand for self-regulation.
Viva Max still performs their own self-regulation. We have also entered into an agreement with Netflix, and they have been very cooperative. Nagsusumiti po sila ng material bago pa po sila magkaroon ng premiere night. Ganun po ang respetong ibinibigay nila sa atin.
Should the MTRCB's mandate be expanded, Soto Antonio clarifies they cannot fully regulate the contents in online streaming platforms.
Hindi po ibig sabihin na kapag kami po ay humihingi ng expansion to our mandate as to the scope, ay i-review ang lahat ng mga online streaming na pelikula. Wala po kami sinasabing gano'n. That is humanly impossible for us to do. What we want is a form of monitoring when we can just post-review sa pamamagitan ng pag-entertain ng mga concerns, ng mga complaints ng ating mga viewing public, ng ating mga legislators.
For her part, Senator Grace Poe says international online streaming platforms should have active representatives in the country.
Talagang hindi natin kaya nag-review yung content ng streaming platforms lahat. So self-regulation is important. Hindi naman natin sila i-require na humingi ng permit sa lahat ng ilalabas sila. Tatagtaguhan yun. Pero siguro naman, kung meron tayong concern, dapat ay naabot sila para hindi sila ma-reach eh.
For Senator Robin Padilla, the MTRCB should look into reviewing content on social media platforms like TikTok and YouTube. The MTRCB says they will consider this, but admits there are challenges in regulating user-generated contents.
Marami pong nandiyan sa YouTube, bastos. Pasensya na po kayo. Bastos na ako pero nababastosan pa ako. Sobrang bastos na yun. Mag-ingat tayo dito kasi pagpulyot ito ng utak ng ating mga bata. Libre ito kasi Libre ito. Sana yung mga libre, mas maging mahigpit tayo kung binigyan kayo ng mandato. Halimbawa, sabihin ng Kongreso, sa inyo ito bumagsak. Kaya ba o hindi po?
Kapag po ibinigay ang mandato sa amin ng legislators, ito po ay kailangan namin kayanin. Ngunit hihingi po kami ng karagdagang manpower, assistance sa iba't ibang ahensya katulad ng DICT at ng NTC dahil hindi po kakayanin mag-isa ng MTRCB.
Hardin Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
In other news, shellfish collected and tested from the coastal waters of Milagros in Masbate, coastal waters of Dawis and Tagbilaran City and Bohol, San Pedro Bay in Samar, Dumaquillas Bay in Zamboanga del Sur, and Lianga Bay in Surigao del Sur are still positive for paralytic shellfish poison, or PSP, or toxic red tide that is beyond the regulatory limit. The Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources said that all types of shellfish and ascites SP or alamang gathered from the areas shown are not safe for human consumption. Fish, squid, shrimps, and crabs are safe for human consumption, provided that they are fresh and washed thoroughly, and their internal organs, such as gills and intestines, are removed before cooking. Moreover, the coastal waters of Panay, President Rojas, and Pilar in Capiz are now free of the toxic red tide.
Malencio Jun Sagun Jr. filed a disqualification case to fellow congressional candidates in the 7th District of Cavite in the special election to be held this Saturday. As a replacement for the vacant position of Department of Justice or DOJ Secretary Boying Remulla, Sagun filed an electoral protest late this afternoon at the office of the COMELEC Legal Division in Manila against Crispin Diego Ping Remulla, the son of DOJ Secretary Remulla. The complaint originated in Remulla's alleged giving of assistance to a displaced or disadvantaged worker or tupad on February 14 in 13 Martires, Cavite. According to Sagun's lawyer, Attorney Jovert Avivas, this can be considered as vote buying or a violation of Article 12, Section 261 of the Omnibus Election Code. The COMELEC office is open to such complaints, especially now that the special election in Cavite is approaching. The camp of Ping Remulla has yet to answer the complaint.
Multiple galaxies have been newly discovered using the James Webb Telescope, changing how galaxies were believed to have formed. A recently published study in the Nature journal reveals. Paul Gatchalian explains why, live. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening, Giona. 6 galaxies have been recently discovered by the Space Observatory, which they say existed around 500 to 700 million years after the dawn of the universe. Joel Leia, the co-author of the study, stated that they have unexpectedly found mature galaxies like the Milky Way galaxy at this point in time, as they were only expecting to identify young and new galaxies. The newly discovered galaxies are so big that 99% of current models, which depict what early galaxies would have looked like, are being conflicted. Because of this, rethinking into how galaxies became should be made. Co-author Leia added what they discovered causes issues of problems for science. The picture puts the formation of early galaxies into question, looking into the early universe for the first time. Meanwhile, these galaxies appear on the images taken by the James Webb Telescope as large points of light, not certain if they were galaxies. They were surprised to find that they thought they had made a mistake in their interpretation of data. Back to you, Giona.
Thank you, Paul, for that live report. Australia's E-Safety Commissioner has issued legal notices to 5 social media giants, compelling them to answer questions on their child protection measures. Nerissa Dando explains why, live. Good evening, Nerissa.
Good evening, Giona. Following the introduction of the Australian government's new basic online safety expectations, Twitter, TikTok, Google, Twitch, and Discord were served with legal notices by E-Safety Commissioner Julie Inman-Grant on Wednesday afternoon, February 22. This is the second time the E-Safety Commissioner has issued such legal notices, with Apple, Microsoft, and Meta being the first to receive the demands for information last year. The 5 social media giants face financial penalties of $700,000 a day if they fail to respond within 35 days. Since 2017, Australia's E-Safety Commission has handled more than 76,000 investigations into child abuse material and believes platform algorithms may be playing a role in amplifying harmful content. According to Michael Salter, an associate professor of criminology at the University of New South Wales, the problem was getting worse every year and that the tech companies were exacerbating the situation while not doing enough to prevent the spread of child exploitation. Meanwhile, the 5 tech companies involved mostly responded that they have adopted a zero-tolerance approach, with Google endorsing its hash matching technology and artificial intelligence to detect predatory behavior. TikTok and Discord also confirmed that they are aware of the legal threats and are yet to disclose the measures they have in place to ensure a safe and positive online experience for everyone, especially for children. Back to you, Giona.
Thank you, Nerissa, for that live report. We'll share more global stories with you later, but for now, back to you, Harleen.
Thank you, Giona. For those watching our live streaming on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook. A day after the rescuers reached the Cessna 340's crash site yesterday evening, the remains of its passengers were not yet brought down. Alan Manansala will tell us the details live. Yes, Alan?
Arlene, movement is hard and utterly dangerous. That is why the rescuers thoroughly tread caution in the case of the crash. The authorities were still unable to determine reason for the fall of the Cessna 340A. According to the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, they still need to find out a lot of details surrounding the incident before they can determine the exact reason for the Cessna plane's crash in Albay. At present, the CAAP with leadership of the Air Accident and Incident Management on Board, or AAIIB, said the possible reason why there is no black box found in the Cessna plane that crashed on the slopes of Mount Mayon last Saturday, February 18, because it didn't pass the weight restriction regulations enforced by the airline. A black box is a flight recorder or an electronic recording device of an airplane that can help determine the cause of an accident in case an airplane experienced one.
Ang mga aeroplano, igwaki requirements para magka-igwaki black box na pigapot. So, sabi untang weight requirements. Hindi yung aeroplano na na-involve sa accident, they nag-aabot duman sa weight requirements na magka-igwaki black box. So, in short, dahil hindi ki black box.
Meanwhile, the authorities retrieve operation of the remains of the 4 passengers aboard the Cessna 340A has started today using the 3 air assets of the Philippine Navy and an augmented chopper from EDC and Philippine Air Force. The remains of the 4 passengers will be brought down one by one from Mount Mayon. Because of the aerodynamic surroundings of the volcano, the choppers cannot enter the area of the crash as they may result in another accident. Moreover, if the team will experience bad weather conditions, the operation may resort to Plan B, which is to let the rescue group walk down the slopes of the volcano, something that will further hamper and slow down the rescue group's operation because of the presence of steep ravines in their trail. The Energy Development Corporation has also extended its condolences to the families of the 4 passengers aboard the 340A aircraft. Harleen.
Thank you, Alan Manansala, reporting live from Kamalig, Albay.
The Philippine Coast Guard has clarified that it is not considering the use of military-grade lasers after the Chinese Coast Guard used a similar tactic during an encounter last February 6. Eileen Cerudo will tell us why.
The Philippine Coast Guard will not equip its vessels or use laser technology as a response to the incident last February 6. This was amid the issue when a Chinese Coast Guard vessel reportedly flashed a military-grade laser against BRP Malapascua in Ayungin Shoal.
Hindi po plano ng Coast Guard na gumamit ng laser technology as part of our weaponry for the Philippine Coast Guard vessels.
PCG spokesperson Commodore J. Tariela strongly asserts Philippine ownership over Ayungin Shoal, saying that as far as the Philippine government is concerned, the Ayungin Shoal belongs to the Philippines. As of Wednesday, around 30 Chinese vessels are still moored in the West Philippine Sea, 26 in Sabina Shoal, while 4 are in Ayungin Shoal. Tariela also said that PCG Commandant Admiral Artemio Abu already directed an increase in maritime patrols and maritime domain awareness or MDA flights in the West Philippine Sea. He admitted, however, that despite not equipping military-grade lasers in Coast Guard vessels, there is a need to revise the procedure in responding to incidents similar to what occurred last February 6.
Ang sinasabi lang po natin is for us to revise itong rules natin for the use of force, kung saan hindi pa kasi nailagay natin dito how would the Philippine Coast Guard respond to this kind of threat towards the Philippine Coast Guard vessel.
The Philippines already filed a protest last week over the use of military-grade lasers by a Chinese vessel. However, Beijing has denied the claim. Eileen Cerudo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas or BSP has released today, February 23, that the transaction for foreign investments registered with the BSP through authorized agent banks grew by $292 million in net inflows. This is $199 million higher than the $93 million net inflow recorded in December 2022. Last February 17, the approved foreign investments in the country jumped by 26% growth, equivalent to 241.89 billion pesos, based on the report of the Philippine Statistics Authority.
A group of lawyers urges the Department of Justice to include respondent indigents with bailable pending cases in bail reduction, while indigents facing criminal charges as well as their families call for its immediate implementation. Asher Kadapan Jr. tells us why.
Several detainees in prison facilities nationwide have been held from temporary liberty due to unaffordable bail set by the court. This largely contributes to the overpopulation of detention facilities. To alleviate the congestion, the Department of Justice issues new guidelines for prosecutors, which aims to reduce the recommended bail to a maximum of 10,000 pesos. But the new rule is only applicable to cases undergoing inquest or preliminary investigation, particularly for indigents facing criminal charges. The National Union of People's Lawyers, however, believes that reducing the bail amount of indigents with pending cases will significantly help with decongestion.
Kung titignan mo yung ating mga kulungan, ay malaking porsyento dyan ay bailable ang offenses nila pero hindi nila kaya yung piyansa. In fact, marami dyan, minsan 1,000, 2,000 lang yung piyansa, hindi na nila kaya. Ngayon, kung hindi mo yan i-apply sa pending cases yung nakakulong na ngayon, ay hindi mo ma-achieve yung purpose ng jail decongestion.
In a police station under the Manila Police District, Police Captain Robert Dato says 70% of their detainees have not been able to bail due to poverty. They also agree that the bail reduction will help in decongesting the facilities.
Ay oo, malaking bagay talaga na yung pag pinababaan yung mga bail, at least yung mga mahirap nating mga nagkaroon ng pagkakasala sa batas, makapagpiyansa para lumuwag ang ating mga kulungan.
But the group of lawyers also urges the Justice Department to widen the law of recognizant to really identify the appropriate bail for every indigent respondent.
Tignan din ng court yung tinatawag na excessive bail. Excessive bail kasi qualified ng definition yan. Sa isang Vong Navarro can shell out 1 million peso. 1 million peso is not an excessive bail insofar as he is concerned. Pero sa isang ordinary street vendor nakakulong na ang piyansa 1,000, that may be excessive dahil hindi niya kaya shell out.
Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Senate Deputy Minority Leader Risa Hontiveros hopes those who are behind the decision to import sugar ahead of the recent sugar order should be ready to face serious criminal and administrative cases. This comes after Agriculture Undersecretary Domingo Panganiban admitted on Wednesday that he acted with haste by ordering 3 companies to import sugar in a bid to reduce market prices. The senator wants to know what compelled Panganiban to make such decision and who are the masterminds behind this new sugar fiasco.
Biruin nyo, 3 kumpanya, halos na handpicked pa, ang pinayagan na mag-angkat ng asukal para sa buong bansa. Di ba kaduda-duda yan? Di ba sa ganyan nagsisimula ang kartel? Paano hindi mangangamoy government-sponsored smuggling yan? Huwag sanang daanin sa palusot at paikot-ikot ang ating mga kababayan.
The minority senator also urges President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. to lead the signing of an above-board sugar order similar to past sugar orders authorizing multiple importers to import sugar. It was Hontiveros who disclosed the alleged questionable entry of 260 shipping containers of sugar from Thailand on February 9 ahead of the sugar order number 6 that was signed on February 15, authorizing the importation of 440,000 metric tons of sugar.
The Department of Foreign Affairs announced that the government will provide $200 cash assistance for each earthquake-affected victims in Turkey. Meanwhile, 15 Filipinos are set for repatriation this week, according to the DFA. Janice Inhente will tell us why.
Personnel of the Philippine Embassy in Turkey returned to earthquake-affected area to distribute financial assistance to quake-affected Filipinos. According to the Department of Foreign Affairs or DFA Undersecretary for Migrant Workers Eduardo De Vega, the government will provide $200 to each Filipino in quake-affected area.
Yung embahada ngayon mismo, di ba bumalik sila ang Ankara, ngayon mismo bumabalik na naman sila sa earthquake affected areas para mag-distribute muli ng financial assistance. $200 each.
Meanwhile, according to DFA, they are preparing the repatriation flight for 15 Filipinos affected by the Turkey earthquake who wants to return in the Philippines. According to De Vega, only 15 will be repatriated because the dual citizen of the other Filipinos is still being processed.
Alam ko may 15 na uuwi na itong soon, no? Kung hindi itong linggo, next week. Pero ilan ang gustong umuwi ay hindi natin matitiyak yan.
Although some of the Filipinos in Turkey have stated that they still want to stay there, De Vega said they still continue the requirement of dual citizenship for Filipinos in Turkey to avail the government assistance.
Hindi na tayo magiging stricto sa requirements kasi emergency situation yon. Dapat handa tayo na marami kasi mga 200 ang tumitira doon. Sabihin natin kahit na kalahati lang ang gusto mo o kahit na 1/4, di 60 yon.
In addition to Turkey, DFA is also waiting for the embassy's report on the 6.8 earthquake that hit Tajikistan earlier.
Wala pa kami na-receive na report Wala tayong bahada doon kaya naghawak ng Turkey din. Hinihintay pa namin yung report.
Any updates
wala
po?
pa kami alam na casualty.
Janice Inhente, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Land Transportation, Franchising and Regulatory Board or LTFRB clarifies that UV Express operators who fails to join cooperative until June 30 may result to cease of their operation. JP Nunez will tell us why.
UV Express operators in Quezon City formed their transport cooperative about 2 years ago to comply with the industry consolidation, which is a component of the PUV modernization program. Its director, Joey Rocamora, said shifting their former association into a cooperative gave convenience when they transact with the government or the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board or LTFRB. Among the goal of industry consolidation is to unite fragmented public utility vehicle operators from the transport industry. With the new memorandum circular released by the Regulatory Board, those individual UV Express who are already part of the cooperative before the June 30 deadline have the chance to extend their provisional authority until December 31. Joey Rocamora said this is why they have long complied with the PUVMP to let their UV Express drivers continue their living even when the government pushes the program.
Pag hindi consolidated, siyempre, yung prangkisa mo matatapos. Kung hanggang saan lang yung ng prangkisa na extension, hindi na uli sila makakabiyahe. Para makabiyahe ng tuloy-tuloy, kailangan consolidated.
LTFRB Technical Division Head Joel Bolano clarified that those who will not consolidate until June 30 will cease operation as public transport.
Pagka hindi nga sila nag-consolidate o nag-comply doon sa MC natin na mag-consolidate o again, mag-form ng consolidation, yung PA nila or yung authority to operate until June will not be extended. So definitely they cannot operate as a public utility.
Based on the data of the regulatory board, 72% of 19,000 UV Express already joined Transport Cooperative and Corporation. Before the year ends, the LTFRB will release another guideline for the fleet modernization to change the old model of UV Express into modernized units or minibus. JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Many regions in the United States are currently experiencing power outages amid the winter storm. The National Weather Service Twin Cities called it historic, as snowfall brought about by the storm was forecasted to reach about 2 feet by late Thursday. Annie Mancilia tells us the details live. Good evening, Annie.
Good evening, Jonah. A brutal winter storm had knocked out power lines affecting more than 579,000 households in Michigan alone as of Wednesday night, February 22, 2023 Eastern Time. Officials said the heavy ice have ripped down tree limbs and left tens of thousands of residents in winter weather without electricity. In California, more than 100,000 homes were confirmed out of power due to blizzards with wind gusts of up to 75 mph. Flights have already been canceled and highways were reportedly shuttered. Arizona's power line was also dead due to high winds with 10,000 homes and businesses affected. National Weather Service meteorologist Dave Carney warned that the winter storm would bring a little bit of everything such as rain, ice, sleet, and snow. Northern states in the U.S. were battered the hardest, prompting schools, offices, and government buildings to be shut down. Traveling by land in some areas are also impossible. Residents are strongly advised to remain indoors as the temperature dropped to 35 degrees below zero, which can cause frostbite in as little as 30 minutes, official warned. Jonah?
Thank you, Annie, for that live report. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I am Giona Pravado, live from London, United Kingdom. Good evening.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has announced February 24 as a special non-working holiday to commemorate the 37th EDSA People Power Revolution anniversary and moving the celebration from February 25. Under the proclamation number 167 that was signed by Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin, the chief executive said the holiday would allow Filipinos to avail the benefits of a longer weekend, citing his government's holiday economics. According to the Department of Labor and Employment, the no work, no pay policy covers special non-working holidays unless company rules or agreements grant payment on a special day. Employees should be paid an additional of 30% of their daily pay for the first 8 hours of work if asked to work on a special non-working day. Our kasangbahay, as the world faces these trying times amid the pandemic caused by coronavirus, we are inviting everyone to join the global prayer for humanity from Monday to Friday, 9:30 p.m. Philippine time through the social media accounts of Members Church of God International.
And before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God. From the book of Psalms, chapter 103, verse 14, it says, "For he knoweth our frame, he remembereth that we are dust." And those are the reasons behind the news, February 23, 2023. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am Harley Delgado.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people, we give glory to God.